All right, so I'm going to guard my privacy. Okay, so here we go. So we're talking about perfect performance every time. And here's the first question. And seriously, you have to answer this question if we're going to do it. And there's the question: is it possible? So answer if you're on the live stream now. Answer in the chat right now. Is that possible or not? Is the echo gone? We thought we fixed the echo just now. Should be gone by now. Yeah, we don't hear no stinking echo. We don't hear no stinking echo. Oh, there's that other one. We have two different chat streams. Can't figure it out. Echo's gone now. Okay, well, answer my question. In the echoless world we live in, is it possible to have a perfect performance every time? Not hypothetically, on Mars or with the angels with you. Is it practically possible to have a perfect performance every time? Please answer in the chat. Chat. Live. YouTube live. Chat. Mark Chris says it's possible. We don't know what anybody else thinks. Say something. Yes, but I asked that question back an hour and a half ago. I asked that question back before everything crashed. It was just here. Nobody heard me, but I did ask the question. Oh, there's Karen Shalom. Look, there's actually people here. Depends on how you define perfect. Was that correct? Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, and Tom says I don't think it's possible. Okay, so first, it always sounds stupid, and if I'd had more time, I was going to get a picture of your tooth or a steel, the end of a knife blade or something, and have it like blow it up 150 times, and it's like all jagged and horrible, and it's like, so yes, the best player in the world, whoever that is, the best pianist, the best vocalist, the best whoever, if we took his piece of music and we analyzed it, and I'm talking about we recorded it and then we looked at the wave signals, are all his 16th notes exactly even? Is everything perfectly in tune? Heck no. It would be destroyed in terms of an absolute perfection, because what we have in real life is, of course, we have an everything. What would we not called below the margin of detection, we could say. It kind of doesn't matter that so-and-so happened because nobody could tell. It's like we used to say when copy machines were bad, and we'd be like, oh, it's a cruddy copy. But then we started getting copy machines that you couldn't tell the copy from the original. And it kind of didn't matter at that point what you had in your hand was a copy or an original. So can it be everything you wanted it to be? Can it be imperceptible to the listener that there were mistakes? I'm defining this. I'm defining perfection. So, and that's the question. And the answer is yes. It can be perfect. It could be like that, a definition of perfection. The best musician in the world, again, whoever he might be, the best musician in the world, whoever he might be, would frequently say, I meant to do this. I meant to go up into the altissimo register. I meant to, use the Phrygian minor there, or I meant to sing that in falsetto. As well, let's say other times we would say, man, that was exactly what I wanted to do. And then if we got down to the nitty-gritty details, we'd be like, well, that is really not there. So we're talking about perception and not your mom's perception. Oh, baby, you're so good. You're the best. No, we're talking about, real musicians, other musicians say that was amazing. Yes, it's possible to do that. And that's our goal. And you have to decide, do I believe that's possible or not? Because if you don't believe that's possible, then you suck. No, if you don't believe that's possible, it will be very difficult, very, very difficult to achieve that if you don't believe it's possible to achieve it, because you will continue to, as you reasonably should, to continue to accept good enough. It's good enough. Nobody threw an apple at me, so it must be okay. So, And so I said, it is possible only if, and only the question is only if what? And here's my answer, which is oh so insightful. I wonder what it is. I do not remember at this time. So it's going to show me what I said. There you go. Only if you embrace performing as a you skill, something that you could learn to do and do well and that you must learn. So we have a huge array of answers. And so, for example, different people, you were in a very demanding teacher. Perhaps you were in where they did the laughable festivals and festival of music, and you have to play pieces, and some of them are really great. Some of them are kind of funny. But the point is you're being tested all the time. Your teacher hates your guts. I had a student who at 18 was auditioning for Baylor, and she froze in her audition, flubbed it. Her teacher said, if you're going to act like that, this is her teacher, not at Baylor, her teacher through 6 years of her life, said, if you're going to mess up like that, you can't be my student. So in addition to not getting into Baylor, her teacher rejects her. And so besides that teacher sucking to the max, I'm talking about that's a level of perfection. But most of us, the level of perfection is sort of like easy, comfortable, and like, hey, it's pretty good, man. Yeah. And so most of us need to up what we're asking from ourselves and learning to do and do well, and that you need to learn to perform perfectly, and you need to expect that from yourself. And so now I know, which is totally reasonable, and I guess I want you guys to, is it still fuzzy? It's clear as a bell on my screen. It just looks like, it looks exactly like a bell. No, it doesn't. But it's clear as a bell on my screen. So some of the people here, I can't make it bigger. I can do this, which only makes the end of the page go off. I mean, that's it. It's not going to change anything. I could do it like this. Let's do it this. Here we go. Let me make it this big. Go all the way across the page, and then I can make it like that. And I could just be careful to not cut anything off with my big head. Excuse me, I'd like to sneeze. Much better. Okay, so, all right, so there's going to be people right here answering me, and then you're saying to yourself, just want to comment, saying, I don't want to be amazing. I just want to sit at home and play a few songs. Plink, plink, plink. I mean, it's nothing wrong with that. Seriously, there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is this sentence right here, and I think about this, you don't have any songs on your playlist that are like that. You don't go to concerts and you say, hey, these guys are adequate. They're tolerable. I could live through that concert. Let's go. You don't do that. You have stuff on your playlist that is amazing and moving and gripping. And so I'm saying you like music that is exciting and dramatic. So you want, by default, by your own definition, you want music that sounds that way. That's what you want to do. You may not think you can do that, which is a reasonable thing to think. But in terms of what you'd like to come out of your horn or out of your voice, you want perfection or awesomeness or engaging, beautiful, these words, powerful. So you want your stuff to say that. And so like it says here in this world's most insightful document, admit that to yourself. You got to admit to yourself that you want it to be really good. You want it not really good, not a 96, not a 92. You want it to be 100. You want it to be 105. You want it to be perfect and dramatic and engaging and powerful. And then the more you played, either the more you achieve that, or the more you kind of like, she broke my heart, so I'll never give my heart another song again. And so, in other words, I'm going to quit committing so much to being awesome because it hurts so bad. Because it hurts so bad. So, seriously, all these things I'm being serious about. Although it's hard to tell. So, my point there is that you must admit to yourself, and I want you to admit to yourself, that you want to play perfectly. And not because you're a jerk or stuck up, but because that's what you signed up for. So, and then one of the problems with music is not sculpture. Music is not writing a novel. Music is performing art. In other words, you have to play it. It's a living thing. So I wrote this beautiful statement that you probably all want to write down. So music is like a math test where you have to dance and sing all the problems, calculations, and answers out loud. But everybody thinks the words you're singing are a beautiful lyric. They don't understand what you're saying, but they think it has to be pretty. So it can't sound clunky and artificial and like you're thinking and thinking. It's got to sound like effortless and just everything like that. So anyway, music is a big deal. Right and left brain and it's hard to do. So anyway, so this perfection so let's look at this picture for a minute. And I want you guys to look through this. I hope this is nice and big. Looks nice and big to me. So trying to get that's an interesting lag. There we go. I can get that. Looks like everything I got on the screen there. So I want you to look at that picture for a minute. Now this is a picture, as far as I'm concerned, of everyone's growth in their music. And so, and this is idealized. This person's not having they never have any problems. They just grow. But as they're growing, what's happening is, if we looked not from the big overall picture how they grow, we looked, what does it look like in a microscopic or small version? We see that this person is learning, and then they're performing, and they learn and they perform, and they learn and they perform, and learn and perform, and learn and perform. And you notice that the way I got this drawn is that when they're learning, they're growing still. That is, they're stretching out, they're doing new things, harder things. But when they perform, they're backing down a little bit. See that arrow, that line's going down. And that for me, I'm trying to illustrate the fact that most of the time, we would kind of step back, only from a mastery standpoint, that sounds really good, and so you're learning some new scale or some new way to, you're learning sweep picking, or you're learning to sing in the head voice or whatever, difficult things. And so that might not be the time to put that in a song, but what you would do is do the things that you can do very well that are just a little back. So I'm saying that performance would be kind of a step back, because what are you doing? You are teaching yourself to perform, and to perform perfectly, and to perform well. You're teaching yourself that you can do this, that not just that that's what you'd like, but like, hey, I can do that. How do I do that? I don't play the hardest thing I ever learned. I don't play the thing that I just can halfway do on a good day, on a Friday, after a nap. Rather I'm doing something I know I can do well. And then on the bottom of that, you see I've got it analogized to a planting phase in which we're growing and stretching out, and then a harvest phase. So that performance would be like harvesting all the good things you did, and then you get done and you say, I did it. And then you like learning a bunch of new things. You're planting new things, and they're growing. And then you come back and say, okay, cool. I learned a new scale. I learned, to play in the altissimo register. And now I'm going to perform. This time I'm going to put some of those altissimo notes in my song. I'm going to perform and harvest what was there, and then go back to learning and planting and growing. And so I'm saying that is kind of the picture of what we're doing, both in terms of preparing and working on things. And so we're stretched out to do great things that we haven't done before. But then not always, but very frequently when we perform, we step back, not scaredy cat, but just like, I know I can do this. Because lots of the times we'd like to say, like a Karen, for example, she was in a musical, and they had her doing all kind of different instruments and all this kind of stuff, and it was a wild rush of excitement of do this and do this, and she learned an incredible amount of stuff. But it's also very rewarding to do well. And then I also did this static thing, that I could do, and I could do it very well, and I did it very well, very exactly. I had the time to work on it. So both things are good things, and I would call the musical thing where she's having to do all this stuff as growth and learning. It's like, wow, they learned so much, but I wouldn't necessarily want somebody to hear a recording of me playing every single note of that experience, because there'd be some notes that wouldn't be good, not Karen specifically, but just that sort of stretchiness. So, yes. Okay, so wait. Good. So Mark Chris asks, do I need to perform more or be involved in a band to move through those stages? It's there. I don't like this answer, but the answer is yes. 20 years ago, and I was in the band, man. I was in the band when I was 10 because it's Mississippi. We all started everything young, baby. So anyway, I was in the band when I was 10, and it was in we had a stage band and blah, blah, blah. And then the orchestra, they didn't have an orchestra, but it's Mississippi, like I said. But in music schools, and the orchestra was in jazz combos and woodwind combos. It was in the we didn't have marching band. It's Loyola, man. Ain't gonna be no marching. So, but we were doing, concert band. Love concert band. So the point is, completely a child of that world. And what do you get from that world? You get just a bunch of things. One of them is like, well, the trumpets can't play their parts, because you know how brass are, but we're still doing this song, we're just gonna have to get to that part and all kind of be sad and get on through the next part because the flutes sound really good or whatever. And so the idea of, well, I'm not exactly saying it's part of it's kind of the show goes on, and it's also sort of the big picture of things. This isn't working quite right, but this other cumulatively is a good deal. So yes, what being in a group of any type, essentially larger than say 3 people, is it gets an external pull, suction, direction on you. So instead of it just being you and how diligent you are and how faithful you are and how motivated you are, it becomes like Billy and Jim and Cindy are coming over in 2 days and they expect me to know this song, And so it takes it out of whether I feel like working on it or not. It puts it in, I would be really embarrassed, if I sounded like that, So it's a great dynamic, and that's what part of the thing. Again, I hate that this is true, but that's part of what lessons are about. Sadly, it's cool, but it's kind of sad. But part of it is I'm going to listen to you, and you're going to suck, and you're going to feel bad about it, Except for Dilip, he doesn't care. But no, I'm kidding. So, but anyway, the point there, yes, being in a group tremendously helps, and I don't know offhand. We have so few students, comparatively speaking. We're sort of maxed out in terms of bands. Maybe a way to get a smaller ensemble, by which I just mean, again, I'm about the number of people. Like 2 or 3 people is great. You get the right 2 or 3 people, totally great. But on the other hand, it's a little easy. Don't get scared about this, anybody. But I'm just saying it's a little easy for some jerk to like, hey man, we're going to play, Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd's where's that? Like, I don't like Pink Floyd. Well, you suck. So anyway, I'm just saying there's a lot of personal dynamics which tend to go away or can go away when there's more people there. So yes, it's very good to play with other people. All right. So anyway, so here we go. So this is our musical growth as an example. And so it's good to take a step back when you perform. And so here is the number 1 killer of performances. This is a shocker. I know nobody has any idea, never heard of this in their life. And here it comes. It is called stage fright. I can't get that on the screen. Let's make that right. Now, I don't think Dilip is here. No, Dilip, I'm sorry. It's just where you stand, I promise. I don't think Keshav is here. I'm trying to make this small enough to get the word stage fright on here. There it is, stage fright. There we go. Isn't that scary? How about, is that scary or what? Okay, so stage fright. So some people are so extroverted that they do not care that other people hear them mess up. I'm just commenting. They don't care. Dilip is a Dilip. Keshav is one of those people. And some people are so introverted, and I can't think of any students currently, they're so introverted, so focused in on themselves that they don't care that somebody else is there because they're not there. The only person is there is them. Same thing with the extrovert. And again, the extrovert is the kind of guy who says, hey, check out my room. It's a wreck. Hey, I just divorced my wife. Hey, I'm going bankrupt. So that same guy would be like, hey, check out this song. I really don't care how it sounds. Look at me. I'm out here dancing. Bugs Bunny. Look at me. I'm dancing. So anyway, so stage fright is the number 1 thing for almost everybody. And now let me go back to largeness. Not largesse, but largeness. Largesseness. The largesse monster. See how big that is. That's pretty big. I can make that bigger. Watch me. You can watch me whip. You can watch me nay nay, and you can watch me also enlarge this. Okay, stage fright. Every time I do it, it moves the page. Okay, so there we go. So there you go. So most people are affected by the audience. We got to find a way to reduce this. So answer my question. Marching builds character. Well, yes, it does. And so does grown up poor. But I don't know anything about that. So, okay, so how do you get good at riding the bike? Answer this question in my feed down here. How do you get good at throwing a ball? Answer the question down here in my feed. How do you get good at writing papers? Answer the question. Again, it's like one of those things when they have it and then the feed are so quick I just can't even read it. It's just hundreds and hundreds of things going up. Except it's not. How do you get good at riding a bike? Oh gosh, y'all are talking to each other now. Stop talking to each other. Answer my question. How do you get good at riding a bike? How do you get good at throwing a ball? How do you get good at writing a paper? The Nike principle. Oh, just do it. Do it a lot of times. Yes, exactly what Karen said. So that's how you get good. And I don't look. I'm obviously headed someplace with this, but my point is, don't minimize that. You know, if you can remember riding a bike, learning to ride a bike or throwing a ball, you were horrendous at it. It wasn't like, check it out, baby, throw that ball. It was like, you know, you're throwing the ball and it's hitting you in the head, and and you did your first paper and you got an F, you know, or whatever, and so you did it and you did it and you did it and you did it and you did it. And you corrected, and you had to keep doing it, and it gradually got to where you could do it pretty good. And then you perhaps, depending on let's say riding a bike for me would be the most example of something I would have done in increasingly difficult circumstances. It'd be like, okay, you did it off road, you did it to, you know, for racing, to, you know, in a contest with other people, whatever. So you do it a lot, and you can't expect. Now think about this compared to you performing. I know that some people are performing more than this, but you cannot be in a recital 4 minutes every 6 months and expect to become a great performer. That cannot happen. It's just like you rode the bike and then you stuck it on the wall and you didn't pick it up again until October. You're not going to get to ride the bike well that way, and you're not going to be a good performer. So you've got to start daily performing your pieces. And we're going to talk about several things to do, but you got to perform many times, so start to daily perform your pieces. And now I know you cannot look at this, or you can, of course you can, but you don't need to look at this as like, oh, he's always saying that. You need to look at like, well, wait a minute, this is real, certainly real for me, and it can be and should be real for you. Yeah, thank you, Terry Black. Pay a friend to write the paper. Don't play ball, go shopping. Yes, well, how do you get good at shopping? Huh? Okay, so anyway. Yes, that's right. So anyway, so the point is, every one of you and me, I do this. Every time we have a recital, and depending on the recital, I can have as many as 30 pieces to perform. And some of them are hard for me, and some of them aren't. And the point is, when it's hard, I am doing all the same things, and I'm talking about working on the section in a song that is hard for me. I'm thinking about some Steely Dan song the rock band did a couple of years ago. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, I had to play the piano, which is pretty important to Steely Dan songs, and then I had to sing some complicated harmony. And the point was, I broke it into pieces and sung the little parts, but then I knew that if I didn't do the whole thing, you know, without the breaks and the little handy dandy pauses and stuff, that I would never be able to do it, because the only way it's going to really occur is without any preparation, just jump into that section. So every time we're fixing to run into where I ran out of time, we're going to find some funny type things in. I don't know what they're going to be. One of the things is, I can see this is not spread out like it should be. It's kind of offensive to me. But so anyway, so every day, 30 to 50% of your time you perform your pieces. Now, again, we're back to that picture of the graphic of working on things and growing, and then we're going to harvest it, what you did in a performance of some type. So performing, just as far as I'm concerned, just means you're playing as if there was an audience there. Because like it says right here, when you perform for a live audience, you immediately try to do your best. Not because you're a good citizen, it's because you don't want to look stupid. And so the point is you almost never repeat sections, including with mistakes. You might, if you're a kid, you might repeat a note or something like that, but you rarely would like start the song over, or you would rarely start a section over. I'm not saying, yes, you should not do that, but I'm just comment is that a lot of the things that you would need to do, you don't do automatically because there's an audience there. You don't want to look stupid, and your little hind brain, little lizard brain is trying to figure out how to not look stupid. And so it kind of weeds through all the possible things to do and says, hey, here's a great way to not look stupid. Don't keep repeating the same mistake 4 or 5 times. I'll just, be through it. It's over. So, and the deal would be, again, I'm not trying to be smart about this, but I'm saying if you are playing a song, you're going to spend, I think I said this last thing a minute ago, if you're going to do a song, and you're going to spend, I'm going to say 30 minutes, you would work on it, break it into pieces, do little sections of it for 20 minutes, so about 65%. But then you would spend 10 minutes, and again, I'm giving approximates, and I want you to think of it as a quantifiable amount, not kind of what I feel like, but basically 2/3 breaking things down, fixing things, making things better, and then 1/3, it doesn't matter how good or bad it is now. I've got to get in the real world with the real guitar and the real hands and the real brain that I've got and the real sheet of paper that says how to do it. And I've got to get in there and do it. And now always the amount we're doing is dependent, don't want to talk about piano songs, but, a piano song could be 4 pages, could be 40 pages, it could be huge. So as an example, so how much are you supposed to do? The amount that you can reasonably be accountable for. So if you've got a 6-page song, even if it's a rhythm song, you're just playing the chords and singing, and you haven't gotten to the last 2 pages, you can't really expect to reasonably, and if you say, I don't know how I could do that, I don't even know how that I hadn't even looked at that. Well, then when I say perform the whole song, I don't mean the entire length of the song. I'm saying, what can you be reasonably accountable for? On a hard song, when you start a hard song, it could be 2 lines or 1 line. It could be 1 page, and of course, rhythm pieces, whether guitar and voice or piano and voice or mandolin and voice, it could be like in a day, I'm accountable for the whole darn thing. I should be able to play this whole thing. But regardless, you have a larger section of preparation, breaking things down, fixing things. I can't play this chord. I can't repeat this. I can't hit this note. I'm not quite sure where to go here. I got to practice going back and forth between. And then I have a smaller section, about 1/3, in which I perform the piece, whether it's the entire piece or a piece of the part of the piece. And I want to do that at least twice, if possible 3 times, but at least twice, because I'm trying to get used to that. Hey, check it out. I'm the musician. And what I know is, I really can't do the B section. I thought I could, but it's all, and you've noticed that because I keep stopping 7 times, like that. So, and I wrote right here about you cannot stop. And because I did the example in the other song, in the other thing, but the idea is that, so if I go, I'll do a different song. If I go, I don't know that song well enough to do it. Shoot. I was going to do Stand By Your Man, but that's all I know. And she was married, Tammy Wynette was married 5 times, so I should have sung Stand By Your Men. That would have been a better song for her. But but that's all I know. So let's say, I was doing Kiss an Angel, Good Morning. How about that? So I go, kiss an angel, good morning, and love her like the devil when you get back home. Kiss an angel, good morning, and let her know you miss her when you're gone. Okay, this is the first way. Second way is, Kiss an angel good. Kiss an angel good morning. And let her know you miss her. Let her know you miss her when you're not home. Okay, that was four mistakes. Four mistakes the first way. I sang four wrong notes in time. And then the second one was four mistakes with rhythm mistakes. Which sounded worse? Which of the mistakes sounded worse? Please respond down here. Ah, yes. Exactly the phrasing that Karen used. So when we hear us have a song, it's the flow. Now I want to quantify it just a little bit to say the macro rhythm, by which I do not mean da 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 da. I mean the macro rhythm. So if I go here, I'm going to mess up again, but I go, kiss an angel good morning, oh lover, when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning. Let her know you miss her when you're gone. So I changed the beat, the rhythm, the crap. But what I did not do was change the macro rhythm. So you knew. I'm not talking about playing rhythm. I'm not talking about playing chords. I'm saying that when we stop the time. So if I play a song for you, now let me do a different song. And I go, I try to do another normal song. Let's see. I'm thinking all these wrong songs that I can't sing at this minute. I don't know nothing to sing. I'm trying to do James Taylor. Yeah. Just yesterday morning, they let me know you were gone. Susan, the plans they made put an end to you. I know this was wrong. Hours of time on the telephone line to talk about things to come. Now what I want you to notice is everybody listening to that right now is going, just can't remember. Your body is saying, here's the beat. That is what we cannot violate. We can go, or we can go, but we can't go, after we've established that rhythm, that macro rhythm. That's what punches that person like a finger in the eye. Yeah, like a finger in the eye. That's what messing with the macro rhythm does. It says, you have incorrectly assessed the time of this song. Please check back in later when it is reestablished. And that's, your audience is gone. So anyway, and then I wrote here that I am, we're much more, as the player, of focused on don't play a wrong note, don't play a wrong note, don't play a wrong note. But as a listener, we are wholly offended and thrown off kilter by a break in the macro rhythm. And I want you to remember that term and I'll put a little TM Mark Black on it. And just remember where you got that. But anyway, macro rhythm, that big boom, boom, that's what you got to not break. And so seriously, you can mess all kind of things up. Chords, words, endings. But if you keep that going, then the listener perceives that as you did not mess up, even though you did, Even with wrong notes. And the listener will go like, he'll either go like, hey, he messed it up, but he held it together. Or he'll go like, hey, I don't remember like that. But all of that's good. I'm giving you that as a anchor. What should you be looking for? So now, one of the things here about you doing this in your practice every single stinking day, I want you to see this here, is this thing about, let's see. So you're doing this every day. And by using these many, M-I-N-I, many tiny little performance experiences, you're reducing the emotion, and you're trying your best every day, 2-3 times a day. You're trying to be great, and then the mess ups. Oh my gosh, I forgot that chord, or oh my goodness, the emotional intensity of that is greatly reduced. And then you are placed in many different situations multiple times. I forgot the chord. I forgot to turn the page. I forgot what the words are. My hand, I'm playing like this happens all the time. As both a little bit on the piano, a lot on the guitar. You're playing a chord, a fret too high, or fret too low. I didn't turn the page and look at the things I was saying. I was saying flat. I can hear it. All these things are happening. But the point is, because you're doing this, you're doing it literally. I'm not kidding. It needs to be 90 times a month. I'm performing the song. You're working through these many performance errors, and you're discovering what to do. What do I do? Now, the biggest thing to do is, again, not pause. But the second most biggest thing is, I don't know. It depends on what's happening, And just a comment, as much as I'm saying don't stop, I have had, in the band, Tom, were you in the band last time? I just had, it was about a year ago. I made a stop and start a song again. It was really bad. It was some song. Anyway, the reason I had to stop was because I could tell it was something like, I don't remember, it was no certain person, but it's like the drums and the bass were here, and let's say the horns, including me, were over here, and they were not listening to each other, and it was not going to come together at any point. It was just going to be, 7 minutes of whack. So anyway, I made a stop. So yes, and sometimes, especially like a classical piece, for example, because of the complexity. A lot of times the way we learn the classical piece, or it could be a complex of rock or jazz piece, because there's so many notes, the way we know the notes in, the reason we know the notes in this measure is because we played the notes in this measure. So a lot of times we'll get to be like, and we'll make a mistake, and because we didn't play these notes right, we kind of don't know what these notes are. And so those kind of mistakes can happen where you have to back up a section. I'm talking about, the word is have to. I'm trying everything I can think of to not do that, because if I don't do that, that is, if I do not violate the rhythm, then what comes out is I did not make a mistake. Again, and we're talking about back at the beginning, right? We're defining what is perfection. And we could say perfection is a bunch of things. It's I played what I wanted to play. Another good definition would be people thought that I played it correctly. And that's not the best definition, because the best definition, I think, would be that you are happy with what you played. And I think we can achieve that too. But we're working, growing, becoming better people. So this thing here. Now look, again, we're asking the question, Mark asked the question, do we need to be in a group with other people? Yes, and we talked about the benefits of being in organized sports now, organized music. And it was accountability and grades. You're going to flunk me unless I can play the solo on page 17, which is all good stuff. But there's nobody there. You got to make yourself do this. You got to make yourself play like you're making an album. You got to do it like I'm doing an audition. Everything I'm doing is dependent upon this. Now, I'm not talking, please don't receive this as pressure. This is pressure from you, for you. And you're thinking, instead of like, hey, just gotta play along. Yeah, man, pretty cool. So I'll answer Tom's question here in just a second. So I'm saying you're trying to get your head into a higher place than the actual demands. The actual demands are, I'm just sitting in my room. Who cares, And you're trying to say, no, I want to be better, and I want to get used to a high level of performance that is happening. And then this sentence too, and that I didn't get back to fix this the second time on the proofreading, but there we go. Not 2 performances a year, but 100, 200 a year, and that's what you need to think. Okay, now Thomas asked a question. If you're playing a solo, there should be no reason to stop. Yes, that is correct. But what we talked about, I just said a minute ago, if it is a note piece, whether it's a quote-unquote ad-lib, but you learned it, I learned this ad-lib, or a written out note thing, if you're not reading it, you could be like, I messed up this measure, let me just skip to this measure. But if you're not reading it, we tend to learn it like in I call it, pearls on a string. I know this part. No, I see what it's going to say. I know this part because I played this. I've never started on measure 11. I always start on measure 8 and play through, So, and by the way, you can fix that by taking your difficult song and starting, every day. You're working on this song for 3 weeks or something, and every day you go, well, I'm going to start on the 9th measure and the 17th measure, even though that's only 3 measures for the end. Why not? Just start there. And if it sounds bad, do it again until it sounds perfect. And then tomorrow I'll start on the 12th measure and the 15th measure. So that helps bring it out a little more in terms of detail instead of everything being dependent upon everything else. And again, if you're reading it, that is less crucial because you can see, and you're that whole reason you're playing it is because you're looking and you can see, oh no, here's that part of measure 11, and you go through it, and you mess it all up, but then at least you got this measure 12. I like measure 12. Help me, measure 12. Yeah. What's your name? Measure 12. You're my only hope. So, all right. So that was Princess Leia playing the flute. Okay. So here's the second thing, but that's not enough. Thank you, Aunt Edna. So, okay. So anyway, so the point here, so you playing in your room twice a day, 3 times a day, as hard and tough as you can be about it, is not enough because this is not the only thing we're talking about the fear, but the fear is the biggest thing. So what you need to do is you need to try to replicate those pesky people watching you who are putting pressure on you. And as you all know from being in recitals and performances, being in the audience after or before you perform, the audience actually, you carry all that fear and rejection up there yourself. The audience is in general thinking, how sweet she's playing the mandolin, or look at that guy, he's playing a song by Satie. Who is that anyway? So everybody's pretty encouraging, but you carry that fear and that up there. So we got to get in front of people. So here come your relatives and your friends and people who are visiting. And this is going to help you a lot. And I'm not kidding, this is exactly what I would say. My teacher says that I have to play for you, or I have to play for everybody who comes in, because you got to get used to that. And it's that initial shock. As you guys who played for your family, you play for them the first time, it's really scary. One person, your wife or whatever. Second time it's kind of scary. Third time, but by 10th time you don't care at all, and that happens, and that's normal. There's no way around that. So what I'm saying is that so you need to, every time you can, as many different ways as you can. So people come over and visit, and you can blame it on me 100%. That's what you should do, and so this is hilarious because I did this on a thing, recording what I was saying. So what does it say? Reduce the severity of mistake you have to be in many performing mystic. You have to be in many performing. So everybody remember that. But you do have to be in many performing experiences, situations. And of course, most of them, they're going to be scary with other people. So you want to get where there's other people. Okay. Yes. Yes, exactly. Okay, so let's see. Okay, well, I'm going to skip that. So let's see. Okay, this is not supposed to be here. I'm just going to grab this. Who are you? There it is. Oh, I see right there. This is another question. Very important question. You have to learn yourself. You have to experiment yourself. Are you capable? Now listen, guys. Again, the idea we want is a regular, I'm performing. And then some of them are just for myself, and I'm trying to make it as serious as possible. Some of them are for friends and family. But it's going to fall short. And we'll talk about it in a minute, what you would need. And it's not possible for most of us. I don't mean how good you are. I'm talking about how many performing opportunities you have. You don't have that many. If you're crazy, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get this, still, you don't have that many options. So anyway, so you need to get used to yourself, not pie in the sky, Ranger Rick, I'm faithful and responsible, therefore what I determined to do in 2 weeks will happen. No, you need to be like, and I am an NT personality. I don't know if I have any NTs listen. And NTs are really bad about overestimating what they can do with their gigantic brainiac brain. I'll just outthink this and I don't have to play at all because I'm so darn smart. So, and it's fun to mess with them. So I used to mess with them at CFNI with their little dreams of what they could accomplish, and they couldn't hold it together. But what we need to do, you need to do, is you need to start noticing, what can I actually accomplish in 2 weeks? And what I'm talking about is, like, it's 2 weeks before the recital. Can I really pull this song up 20% faster? You know, maybe I could only do it 10% faster. You know, maybe I could do 5% in 2 days. Maybe not. You know, so then just we'll comment this last part of this section right here. You're always going to sound the most commanding when you're in the top third of your ability, but you nail it. So what that sounds like is, that dude's pretty cool, because you can tell he's trying, you know, but then he's also getting it. So it's like, wow, that he's involved, he's engaged, he's playing, and it's like really, so anyway, so there you go. All right, so you're trying to decide what you can actually accomplish, how much progress you can make. You got to quit saying, I'm trying to think who does not say this that's online here. I don't think Sean says this kind of stuff much, but they just say stuff like, I have a magic wand and somehow I'm going to go from point A to point ZZZX, you know, in this tiny period of time. And I'm actually not really planning on spending the time to do that either. It's just going to happen because I'm so sincere. And you need to get to where you can predict, and you're learning. Now I really can't make that jump. So I'm going to do this. I'm not going to take the repeat, or I'm not going to do the second verse, or I'm going to whatever. You know, there's a bunch of things to do. The second, this is a great creative title I have for this next part. It's called Who Are You 2.0? The same idea, but a little different angle on it. So let's get that up. It's coming. Yeah. Okay. So when I perform constantly, and I can see negatives on this. I haven't found any negatives, but I can see somebody having a problem with it. But when I perform, I'm imitating either the artist or the style. You know, so if I was going, Karen and Dilip, we did that song. I don't remember the words. Same Old Blues. So I sang it because Jack was not there a couple of times, and I'm singing it, and we had sound problems. It didn't sound good. But when I'm singing, I'm trying to go like, you know, it's the same old blues again. When I heard that rumor comes on around, heard the doorway, down and down. You know, and believe it or not, I don't really sing that way naturally. I don't sing, you know, like, you know, I've been waiting for a girl like you. So, anyway, so I changed completely how I sing and play and everything based on the song. To me, I see that as a skill and something I want to do. Like, I'd like to grab this style and that style and do it well. But regardless, what that gives me is, it gives me a lot of focus, and it gives me a lot of what am I going for, and then what I get when I get what I'm headed for is I get a pretty good thing. You know, it's like, well, I sound like the guy who sang this song. You know, so that sounds pretty good. So I frequently, look at that right there, I frequently act much more aggressive or much sadder or angry. I'm not feeling that stuff, you know, but just like the guy who's doing the song, he's probably thinking about where they're going to go eat after the concert, you know. Seriously, you know, these are all good things, not cutting anybody, me or them. And this includes classical pieces. Everybody acts like classical pieces are so. Anyway, all you have to do is read a life of any one of the great composers, and their life is just most of them are just humongous drama queens living in a gigantic world of drama queens, and by which I simply mean even classical music is about the emotions of the piece. Even when you get into until music was broken, leaving out Schoenberg, Webern. When it became atonal and it no longer has a center and it no longer sounds like music, it sounds like two cats fighting in a trash can. But this would not include Stravinsky or certainly not the Impressionists, but wouldn't include Stravinsky, wouldn't include concerto for orchestra. His name is escaping me now. My favorite piece. But anyway, so as long as there's tonality in the music, we know the direction. So classical, even that's more cerebral music is what we're getting at. We're listening to that music. We're thinking about like a Firebird Suite, for example, is it's dark, you know, and I don't mean it negatively. I mean it's like you don't go like, my God, he's leaving out the third. This is excellent. You go like, this is so dramatic and scary. I wonder what's happening. You're like, oh my goodness. So all the music is about emotion. So borrowing moods and moves and modalities. Oh yes, that was a lovely alliteration. To create a performance style is a great thing to do, and that would go totally, utterly. And if Tom was playing a solo, and it was by on the trumpet, and it was by not Herbie Hancock. Chuck Mangione, yeah. I mean, the first thing I would do would be like, if I was the trumpet player, I'd be like, I want to sound like him. I want to be like him. You know, and what would I get from that? Would everybody go like, you just sound like Chuck Mangione? No, they'd say like, wow, dude, you sound like Chuck Mangione, you know, and that would be something you can do. I can sound like Chuck Mangione, you know. So anyway, so this says overreact. Remember your playlist. Talk about your playlist. There's no boring stuff, no quiet stuff. Nothing's hidden in there. You've got excitement, drama, power, precision. That's what's on your playlist. So be that way. Be a borrower. Pump it, pump it, pump it up, pump it, pump it. So be like, I'm going to make this sound great. This is about perfect performance every time. And half of it is perception. And I wrote here Garth Brooks, which I know we have a big Garth Brooks following here, but even a larger Taylor Swift following. I mean, there's got to be, I know right here Mark Chris loves Taylor Swift. I know Sean Moyer definitely loves Taylor Swift. He's always sending me her albums. This is really sad too. So, but those people are marvelous performers. They're not. Garth is a good musician and a good songwriter. I don't know about Taylor. She did really good writing when she was 14 and stuff. I haven't heard anything from her in 5 years. But my point is, those people are great performers. We don't go like, Taylor Swift just got an honorary degree from someplace. How bogus is that? But I was fixing to say she doesn't have her doctorate in music, but she has her doctorate in something from somewhere. But we don't look at those people to say, my gosh, would you help me, write my latest concerto? But you would say, that concert was jamming. That was amazing. And promise you, people will remember that. So, okay, so let's see here. Now I'm going to go up and let's see what the next one is.
Time check.
Huh?
Time check.
Time check. Yeah, I said I have about 18 minutes. Let's see. So there you go. This is in some movie with... Who did? Hey, Noah! Well, that is a great question. How do you borrow without imitating? And the point there is, okay, so here, first thing, when you're learning a lick, now y'all have taken lessons a long time, you've heard me say this, I wish, I don't try to come up with contrary ideas, I really don't, because I think that most of the time, the standard wisdom is correct. And when I was in early 90s, literally 90 through 93, I just went through everything. It's like I retuned guitars and basses and everything. Should you play with your toes? Should you sing out of your nose? It's just everything I could think of. What should be done, and came around after, depending on the thing, 6 months to a year. And it's like, usually the way people do stuff is right. The logical, it's usually the right way to do it. The best way. And so, anyway, so this is my idea, what I think. I don't think it serves you any purpose to learn a lengthy solo, by which I'm talking about 10 measure to 40 measure solo. Whether that's Wes Montgomery or Pat Martino or Joe Satriani. I don't think there's any point in that. Now, you could say, I want to play this piece by Joe Satriani. Then this is my piece. My piece I'm playing is this. And guess what? I'm playing that. Hey, he's playing that Joe Satriani piece. But if you're talking about his improvisation like that, I don't think there's a point in doing that, because I think what we're trying to get from people's improvisation is like the flavor is kind of what you're asking, as I see it. The flavor of what they did. Not when is everybody ever going to play Sundown by Wes Montgomery? When's that ever going to happen? So I learned it. Takes me, I learned his whole solo. It's 36 measures, something like that. It's great, beautiful, cool, subtle. I learned the whole thing. When am I ever going to use that? When is anybody ever going to come to me? Or am I just going around to people, hey, you want to play Sundown with me? Because that's the song I know. No, none of that's going to work. But what would work is pick out 10 one-measure licks out of that song and say, I got that lick. And I can put it in the key of F, and I can put it in the key of G, and I can put it in the key of C, and I can put it in C minor. I can change the style. I can turn it to a Latin thing. I can turn it to a bossa nova thing. The same lick, just a few little adjustments, and suddenly, or as a result, what I have is this something I know. It sounds super cool. I did not invent it, but I'm amending it. I'm changing it by putting it in these different keys and styles and stuff. And it's feeding me and providing me with cool ideas in a lot of different styles. So I think that's what you would do. I don't think this is, many things that are wrong are in this, well, let me say it differently. It's not wrong if you do it and then it's just a stepping stone. If you'll hear guys that are great all the time saying, especially in these big, when it's like 3 or 4 famous guys together, and they'll go like, hey, I got that riff from you, man. So they are absolutely ripping off licks. You're a guitar player and you're listening to these guys, but everybody else is not. It's just like if I go, let's see, I go like, what? Dashing through the snow on one horse open sleigh. What's the next words? What song am I even singing? Come on. So I'm singing Jingle Bells, and it's Over the Fields We Go, laughing all the way. So the thing is, people know songs like they know Houston is generally south on I-45. They don't know it like Measure 47. He used, Mixolydian mode right there. So anyway, as long as you don't stay on those imitative things, you can use them for the rest of your life. If you learn 7,000 of them from the same artist, it's going to be obvious that you're copying. If you learn 10 from this artist and 10 from that artist, and you put them in different settings and stuff like that, nobody's going to notice, and it's also not bad. Let's just see. Sometimes we read a new thing through imitation. Yes, exactly what Sean said about Billy Joel. And let's see. Okay, Mark, I'm not sure what you're talking about here. I didn't improve my playing at all, and I didn't learn anything from it. What, learning the song Sundown? Is that what you're saying? If that was, just say if it was Sundown. For example, we can learn things or work on things that are too hard. About that, back to the previous seminar about assimilating. We've got to pick things that we can absorb. And if we can't absorb them, they're not doing us. Then they're not doing us any good. So it's just like, so you couldn't say, I never played the guitar before. The first thing I want to do is play Spain with Chick Corea and Pat Martino or something like that. That would be stupid because you couldn't do it. Okay, here we go. Oopsie daisy. This is about performing. Always practice everything up 10. Oh wait, sorry, I haven't got to you there. Sorry, gotta wait. There it is. Always practice everything 10 to 15% faster as a way of flushing out errors. That's what that's a non-corrected thing. So to get things correct. Masterful. I'm not stumped by this piece. It's not, I could just barely do it. So, and I've said this to different people. So if I have a high note, and you're struggling with that note, and I'm struggling with that note, one of the things you should do is you think about that there's a, think about that being after it. So it's really hard, until you think about it. Well, what if we went, ah? So then suddenly you're not thinking about, you're thinking about, and it's pretty easy. So playing your songs up 10, 15%, not performing them that high and that fast, but practicing. I have that skill. That means when you go to it, you sound freaking masterful. You sound like I am so cool. And of course, that everybody you love on the various instruments, that's what they sound like. They sound like I could have done this laying down. I could have laid on my face and done this. I could have done this in Chinese. There's nothing that could keep me from doing this. I'm so darn great. And some of that is true, and some of that is kind of like, well, no, they could do it 10% faster. And so that's kind of a quantifier of mastery in a sense. Oh, look at this. How cute that is. Look at me. I'm so cute. I actually don't remember what this means. Looks cool, though. Well, let's see what it means. Super skills. Oh, yeah. So, now look, I'm not trying to put a burden on anybody. Yes, copying an entire solo, exactly. It's rarely going to do you any good. An exception to that would be an iconic solo that you really love. Like I really love, I adore, was like one of my introduction to jazz. The soprano soloist named Jerry Neewood, who played with Chuck Mangione in Legend of the One-Eyed Sailor. No, Hill Where the Lord Hides. His solos, like, oh my God, that's it. So yeah, I would learn that just to be like, yeah, I can play that. Or like John and just period. Paul Desmond, Take 5 solo. Like I'd play that. Like I can play that solo. All that cool stuff he does. I can do that. So there's that, a different reason, sort of a memorial or a skill or something I always wanted to do, just by the way. So anyway, talking about how to focus your practice in your note, it's just you at your house, right? But you're practicing every day. So this is things. Now, the only kind of person, and that includes me, that develops the skills that we would like to have is somebody in like the Tonight Show band. They go, what's that? John Baptiste is coming in tonight, and he's going to do these songs. Here you go, or the Cleveland Orchestra, and they're going, we're going to record the soundtrack for Star Trek 721, and we'll be doing it today and tomorrow, and here's your music, and or with the Metropolitan Opera chorale, we're singing so and so, Così fan tutte or something. I'm saying you're singing a song, it's hard, you don't have long to work on it. You sing another song, it's hard, and another song is hard, and you don't have long to work on it. That is the only way that to produce these super skills that we want. And I'm talking about, I'm giving an example. All I'm giving an example. And I'm saying, so in music school, I'm in the jazz band, I'm in 2 woodwind ensembles, I'm in the orchestra, I'm in the concert band. So it doesn't matter how slow one of those things progresses in whole. And of course, I have my own lesson in which I have to do recitals and things, my own oboe lessons and sax lessons. The point is that whether I wanted to or not, I have to learn and play well 2, 3, 4 songs a week, And so you develop a lot of survival skills like reading, and again, looking ahead and all this kind of stuff. That is what we would all need, including me, to be the best reader or performer, because it's like I do this all the time, So I'm saying that like we don't have that. So anyway, so we're trying to replicate that mindset. And we talked about playing. About playing too fast, about imagining you're doing an audition, imagine you're making an album, imagine somebody's recording you right now. You could do stuff like that. I'm talking about record yourself. So what is this? If we lift our thinking into totally non-existent free world learning through deeply playing top 5% or billion mistakes will reduce dramatically simply because we pushed our skills. That looks sort of like me talking into the thing that didn't record correctly. But I think what I'm saying is that increasing your reading abilities and our performing abilities, not talking about reading, but how that interacts, that would help everything you do. And so, but then, like it says here, most people, including myself, I'm not in that position. I'm in a better position than y'all, just because people come in and every day somebody's coming in with a different song. They, just honestly, or most of them are not challenging to me, but huzzah, they're not. Hey, but still, it's normal. What I'm getting at is that normally y'all are right where you should be, which is get a new song and work on it for 2, 3, or 4 weeks or 5 weeks, and then to get another song. And I'm just commenting that by itself tends to slow us down. So we need to think of things of how can I go past that kind of clumpy. It's not clumpy, it's what you want. But I know all of you think about it. What you all want to say, what I want to say, is I don't want to say, look, 4 weeks in a song. I want to say, yeah, I do about 12 songs a year. That's what I do. We all want to say, no, I can play anything. Some of them really well, some of them not too good, but I can play 1,000 songs, And so, anyway, so we're having to fight against that fact that we don't see so many different songs. And let's see if there's anything else here. Conclusion. Hey, that's good. Glad we got to one. Okay, it's 2 days before the performance, and you've already slowed everything down. Now listen, so things you should do you should feel free to slow a song down. You can tell when you're slowing something down is the point at which it kind of loses its momentum. So we don't want to, and there's not an absolute, it's a percentage. It could be 10%, it could be 5%. Some songs can go 20% slower and you can hardly tell. Other songs you can go 5% slower and it feels like you gutted them. So we can slow the song down. You can not do repeats. You can take out sections. Various people here listening know that I've taken your song and I've just said, Karen says recording yourself playing is great. And again, it kind of bumps up what you're expecting. But I've taken people's songs and constructed a completely different. It's somebody's playing a piano piece, Imitate number 1, and so it's like, well, they no way they're going to play the whole thing, so we just took out 20 measures and created Imitate light, And what does the audience think? Nothing. As far as the audience is concerned, that was the song, and that was successful, to do that. So you've already slowed the song down. You've already cut out sections. And you already lowered the key. And it still doesn't sound great. And I'm sorry this isn't a blob. I didn't get a chance to fix this. And you're going to make a mistake. So what do? You're going into this performance and you know it's not going to be good. So the rule in music is, here we go. The rule in music. Why does it say that? Oh, I see. This is the wrong thing. There we go. Don't worry. I'm on a job. There you go. All right. So here the rule in music is, if you're gonna make a mistake, make a big one, and don't forget it. If you're gonna screw that solo up, really screw it up. And I'm talking about throw yourself into it's not the piece, it's not the P-E-A-C-E, it's the P-E-I-C-E. Before he said no, maybe it's P-I-E-C-E. Throw yourself into the piece. Be strong and powerful. I'm not kidding. This is what you should do. You be strong and powerful and dramatic as you can. And you need to think of it as a ratio. It says right here, and I'm agreeing with this. You're thinking, we talked about, remember, who you are. Can you do 10% more dramatic and pull it off? Can you do 20% more dramatic and pull it off? You should be experimenting with that. And in general, it's really, most of the things work along the 10% level, not on the 15, 20% level. You can't. But you're like, I'm going to make this strong. I'll make it not necessarily over the top, not trying to be hokey, not trying to turn a beautiful love song into, not like that. But we're trying to say, I'm going to make this as big as I can. But another thing is, in our little diagram of growing and then consolidating and growing and consolidating and growing and consolidating, we wanted our performance to be a harvest of excellence. But what's going to happen is this performance is now part of the growth. I'm still growing, in this section, in this month or whatever. So I wanted it to be a harvest of how awesome I am. I miscalculated this way, that way, took it too hard a piece, didn't practice as much as I should have this week. But instead what I got is to continue growing. And I'm not talking about infinitely, although we would like to grow infinitely. But that's all that is. You haven't failed. Any weird thing you do only matters in terms of if that's the only thing you do, like you're talking about being imitative. It only matters if that's all you do. You only borrow, and it's 5 years from now, and you're still just, all you do is just borrow other people's stuff, and you never come up with your own stuff. Then it's a problem. Cutting songs into pieces to make it work, that only matters if you never play any songs, whole songs. You're always making compromises, always, always, always. But again, if you're Frank Sinatra or Barbara Streisand, that would be your life. Hey, it's too high for me, and I don't like the meter either. So put it in 3/4 instead of 4/4. Make that snappy, and I'll be back after a martini in 10 minutes. Want that done. So I'm saying professional musicians do that all the time. Make those adjustments. Everything I'm saying, they do. Some things you cannot do, cannot be done. But making those adjustments are not cheating or making you a loser unless you always have to do them. Okay, that is my presentation. Now, does anybody have any questions or anything to say? Which would be wonderful. I love questions. I don't know if I like YouTube, besides its stupidity, but besides that, because, I like talking to y'all. Yes, what Karen said about recording, the recording itself is probably the issue, the good. I'm being recorded. Listening to it is about ferreting out mistakes. The making of the recording is about putting performance stress in a good way on you. And so it's good from that standpoint. And then when you listen to it, you would notice I was flat that whole second section. So many comments. Again, I don't know how I'm going to respond to all that. I don't have enough time. Okay. This is your big chance. Oh. Well, no, that's a signing off thing. Now you're signing off. So nobody's going to ask a question? It's okay if you don't. So check it out. My beard has turned white in the last week. This was black a week ago, and this was black, and it's white now. Is that medicine? Okay. Yes, exactly. Tom is saying what I just said. So you record yourself to get you to be sharp. And then if you want to listen to it, it's a different issue. It would you'd notice mistakes you made. Okay. Unlearning mistakes. The hardest thing we learn by muscle memory and by ear, unless you're a constant sight reader. And even then, if you play something, so the point is you play something wrong, you do that 5, 10, 15 times, you bake it into your fingers, you bake it into your ear, the right way sounds wrong. Somebody was telling me a couple of days ago about how they were playing a riff wrong, and their wife was like, I don't think that's right, and they had the hardest time changing it because it's like, again, so the hardest thing, that's why in classical music, this isn't classical, it's details. So detailed music, like a detailed bass riff, you need to, everybody in all your own instrument, you need to proceed very carefully when something is detailed. Because, and be just very careful, like, is that right? Is that right? Is that right? Is that right? You're just checking, because once you spent 10 minutes playing two measures incorrectly and you feel like it's right and it sounds right, it's going to be very hard to fix it. I don't mean you can't. I just mean it's not fair how natural it seems. Okay. Carl. Hey, Carl. Yeah. Oh, well, yes. Well, mine may be turning white all over the place. Yes. Okay. All right. Well, I think I'm done. I appreciate you guys coming by. I'm so sorry for all the horrible mistakes that came through. Again, we're going to have, including this Wednesday, we'll have we're going to call it for learning to play and sing. And you're all invited, and it'll just be an hour talking about playing and singing. And then for you guys taking lessons, you can bring up, I'm not going to give you a lesson, but you could say, I was working on so-and-so, and I can't get this to work, or you never sent my song. Why not? Or whatever. So we'll be doing that. And then, of course, invite people, and that'll be great. And so I'll see you guys. I won't see you for 2 weeks, close for 2 weeks. But I think it's June the 6th, and let's see if there's anything else. Okay. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Have a great 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Before you stop this